Today, down in the comments, I want you to tell me what is your favorite British horror movie. I'm Adam Cesare, this is Project Black T-shirt. Subscribe if you like it, move on if you don't. Today we're going to be talking about the Amicus collection. So I know we've been movie heavy recently, and especially archival release heavy. We've been talking a lot about Blu-rays and all these special edition releases of movies that came out decades and decades ago. But today, sorry for you guys, I gave you a new movie last week. Today we're going to be talking about the Amicus collection, recently out from Severin Films. This is a limited edition of 3,500. Ordered mine early, don't know why it's such a high number, 3,416. No one out there has that number. This is 3 films plus a bonus disc called the Vault of Amicus. Very briefly, Amicus Films was a British film studio production company that was founded by two American guys, two American producers, businessmen. And they had a great reputation for kind of challenging Hammer at their own game, especially at a time when maybe Hammer Studios was on the decline and was kind of searching for a way to spice up their pictures. They would constantly cast big name stars, especially British box office stars, for a couple days worth of work, so they would get maximum production value into these smaller, well-made, well-crafted features. We have 3 movies here. We have Asylum, and Now the Screaming Starts, and The Beast Must Die. And I'm going to talk about all 3 of them really quickly, then I'm going to talk about the set as a whole and what separates the set from, if you have this old set, the Dark Sky Films release of the same 3 films. We're going to talk about, like, is the upgrade worth it, Adam? Do you think so? If you're asking that kind of double dip type question, you're probably the kind of diehard who bought this already. But let's talk about it. And as always, at the end, we're going to have a book recommendation, and this week's book recommendation is a little bit different than I normally do them, so stay tuned for that. All right, first film in the set, if we're going in alphabetical order, is And Now the Screaming Starts, which is a fantastic title, which seems like it would be kind of a contemporary film, seems like it would be like gonna grab you, but it's one of Amicus's few period costume dramas. It is a gothic ghost story. 90% of the ghost that you see is a severed hand that crawls around on its own and like pops out of pictures and starts strangling people. But it is a ghost story. That hand belongs to someone, and you find out over the course of the film who that hand belongs to. I was surprised. I really like this movie. This movie is a kind of personal favorite of mine. I don't even know really why. I just like the gothic feel of it, and I kind of like the kitchen sink approach to the gothic because it's not a slow gothic movie. It has a lot of stuff happening very quickly, and it has a really kind of sordid twist ending that's a little bit mean-spirited and a little bit gross. But the special features, the newly produced special features for And Now the Screaming Starts, I guess I didn't really know what public consensus was or what like academic or critical consensus was. A lot of people, even the people that they kind of got to talk on these featurettes, consider it a lesser Amicus film. A movie I really, really enjoy. Nothing else more to say about it. Next film we're going to talk about is the best film in the set, without a doubt. It is Asylum. This is Amicus's bread and butter. This is a anthology film. This is a horror anthology, and a lot of their anthologies, and this one is no exception, were written by Robert Bloch. The basic setup and the wraparound story is a new doctor arrives at an insane asylum, and he's given this kind of weird task where he has to go around, listen to these people who are in these locked cells, and hear their stories and try to figure out which of them is a doctor who's gone insane in this insane asylum. And of course, there is a twist ending, and it's the doctor is never who you'd guess. But the stories in here, especially kind of one of the most famous images in Amicus's history, which is the head wrapped, the severed head kind of wrapped in wax paper. They all have this kind of psychological horror, Tales from the Crypt EC Comics type bend, but through kind of a British horror lens, and it's kind of emblematic of what makes Amicus so great. It's that American meets British sensibility of you have Block writing the script, and then you have Roy Ward Baker again directing the film. One of the rare anthology films where all of the pieces feel like hits. The best feature on here, I think. David J. Scow, the splatterpunk writer and horror historian and Block biographer, a little 20-minute interview with him where he talks about Block's life and working with Amicus and before that and beyond that, and it's a really, really cool, really affectionate portrayal of a kind of unheralded master of horror, and what Scow talks about as kind of the godfather of modern psychological realistic horror. The final film we're going to talk about is The Beast Must Die. This is one of the last pictures that Amicus produced, and it, like a lot of the lesser Hammer films, it's kind of an attempt to reach out to a popular subgenre at the time, a popular American subgenre at the time, and meld it with a kind of more classic horror story and setup. So it's basically Agatha Christie's 10 Little Indians, plus blaxploitation, plus a werewolf movie. And it even has one of the more famous kind of gimmicks or conceits from this era of filmmaking, the mid-70s. It has a werewolf break. Now this is a enamel pin that came with the more expensive version of the Severin Amicus collection set. Because I didn't buy that big super duper deluxe version, I was happy that they sold this pin separately, because towards the end of the movie, the movie pauses and a countdown clock comes on screen, and they want you to guess which of the characters is the werewolf. And it's just a fun little gimmick, and God, look at that. That's so cool. I think there's no really attempt made on Severin's part to hide that this is probably the lesser regarded of all three films, but they still do a really nice, really admirable job of porting over all the features from that other set that I had held up. Even if it's not Amicus's best film, it's just a lot of fun, and it's got some really cool, really effective moments. And if you like kind of like potboiler mysteries, Agatha Christie type stuff, like we said, it's a real curio and really worth checking out. Now, the best part of the set and what sets it apart from the old Dark Sky version is the inclusion of this disc. It's what they're calling a 300-minute plus, so it's hours and hours of features, standalone bonus feature disc. The feature on the disc itself, the main feature, is a collection of trailers. It's an hour and 5-minute collection of trailers and TV spots from Amicus's history, including their non-horror films, because they did a bunch of movies. They did like kind of like rockabilly musicals and staged William Friedkin's adaptation of The Birthday Party, the Harold Pinter play. They did two Doctor Who movies. They did a bunch of kind of non-horror genre stuff, and this disc basically takes them from beginning to end chronologically and puts the trailers and the TV spots in order. And when I watched that portion of it, I watched it with the commentary on. Film writers Kim Newman and David Flint talk kind of back and forth over the trailers and give a little bit of more of a history of Amicus, including like their own recollections of seeing these movies and when they saw them. It's a really nice set and really cool. Like, I like to put on commentaries and movies while I'm doing other stuff, especially because there are hours of audio interviews that I didn't get to yet, that I didn't get to listen to. This is going to be the gift of this Severin set that kind of keeps on giving. This is going to be the thing that I probably come back to and put on bits and pieces of as I'm going about doing other things. It's a really, really nice thing. I feel like with the new transfers on two of the movies and the other features and the features that they ported over, they really didn't have to do that, but it's good on them that they like value pack this thing, because I don't know what the deal is with the rights and why these movies are so frequently packaged together, because if you're gonna say one bad thing about Severin Film's Amicus collection, you just want more movies in it. The House That Dripped Blood and Torture Garden and The Skull, and these movies that do or don't have other Blu-ray or DVD releases, it would have been cool to see a couple more of them licensed and put in here. But I understand the realities of that kind of stuff and why you can't. But as it stands, if you like British horror, if you like, even if you've only seen like one movie or so in this set, know that it's worth the investment to check out the rest of them, and that special disc is really, really worth it. So is it worth the upgrade if you have the old Dark Sky set? I would say definitely yes, if you like this kind of stuff. Speaking of liking this kind of stuff, it's time for the book recommendation this week. And this week we're doing things a little bit differently. It's a book that I've only just started reading because, as I talked about that David J. Scow featurette, he really heartily recommends people checking out Psycho 2, which is not a novelization of Universal's Psycho 2. It is a continuation or a sequel to Bloch's own very different non-Hitchcockian version. Again, I'm only a few pages in, so if we want to make this kind of like a book club type thing, and you guys comment down below and pick up your own Psycho 2. This one is a well-worn copy. The gatefold is broken on it. Yeah, I'm up for that. I'll talk to you guys about this because I'm going to read it this week and enjoy. That's it. I'll put the links in the description to where to buy all the stuff we talked about. If you like this video, please hit like. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing. If you want to find out more about me, Adam Caesar, and all my books and stories and stuff like that, I'll put a link in the description to where you can join my mailing list, get a free ebook, find out all about me, buy t-shirts and all that crap, and follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. But I'll get out of your hair now until next Friday. Have a good one.